the Russians did it via the central planning and their Treasury Department. The Germans did it in conjunction with corporate Germany at the time. So it's more fascistic socialism than it is communistic socialism. But it's all bad, don't get me wrong. It's not good. Trying to differentiate. And it's just another step in power. What they're doing here is they're using, and they do this all the time, and people don't catch on to this. Every time something bad happens to them, they ratchet up their demands. You'd think they'd run and hide for a while, and say, gee, we don't know anything about that, and make excuses and things like that. But they don't do that. They take the aggressive position of demanding more. And people are aghast. They say, well, how can they think they're going to get away with that? It's probably unconstitutional, but does it make any difference? We don't have a constitutional government. We have one that has to be changed and brought back to a constitutional government. The government is being run by criminals.
When the world defaults in all its debt, what will happen to individual debt held by us, like mortgages and credit card debt? Will these debts get wiped out in the process too? Why or why not?
We talking about devaluation and default?
Yes.
I think... Go ahead.
Her question prior to that was, she was talking about the G20 if a new world currency is created, thus devaluing all currency, and then a default on the world debt occurs. We assume that gold would go through the stratosphere, but she also assumes that the G20 will want to prevent gold from going higher throughout the process of moving in this particular direction. Is this possible? And if they can suppress the price of gold, how would they be able to do it? And then that was the second part of the question.
Well, I don't think they can suppress it. I think they've gone beyond that. They're losing control now, and they have been for some time. They're running out of ammunition. The only thing left for them is to let gold trade freely, and they got plenty of gold. They don't have to worry about it. And the only alternative to that is by each country trying to collect all the gold from the people in the country. And I don't know that they want to do that. They may have revolutions on their hands in every country in the world. I don't think, the people who are gold buyers, they know what's going on. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying. And so they're not going to get shipped off to some camp because they get caught with 3 sovereigns in their pocket. They're not going to go peacefully. And I don't think any military in the world is, generally speaking, going to shoot their own people. And so I think there's going to be real trouble. They think they can get away with it, but they're not going to. And I've said this many times. This is the chance of a lifetime to take the Illuminati out once and for all. And very few people look at it in that perspective because they don't have the guts to. That's really what it amounts to.
Here's a little bit of a rant. AIG is the patsy for TARP money. He feels that this hype about them is true and yet a great way to hide the rest of all the TARP money big business has made off with. The media and congressmen feed the public the spin they agree to while your tax dollars are bailing out another failed company. And most Americans are either chasing a lost American dream or fighting to hold a job at home they have and are unable to ponder the issues, so they just go along with what they're told.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Too busy making a living, and it's true. And
they
a lot of people can't be blamed, but, that doesn't mean they can't wake up.
they were placed in that position. They have to work hard. Things were made so they had to, and they couldn't. So they wouldn't, I should say, see what is going on. The Czech Prime Minister, and whose country holds the European presidency, has described the United States stimulus package as a way to hell. 1 week before he is due to meet Barack Obama at the G20 summit, he further indicated that plans to stimulate the U.S. economy would undermine the stability of the global financial markets. Any comments?
Repeat it, please. My mind was wandering. What's left of it, that is.
All right, I just closed.
We'll go on to the next one and come back to it.
Okay, here it goes. The Czech Prime Minister, and whose country holds the European presidency, has described the U.S. stimulus package as a way to hell, 1 week before he is due to meet Barack Obama at the G20 summit. He further indicated that plans to stimulate the U.S. economy would undermine the stability of the global financial markets.
He was just thrown out of office, wasn't he? This morning.
This morning?
Well, this morning in Europe. Yeah, they don't have a government right now, and he was just removed 101 to 98, I think the vote was. And so he's out. He's not even going to get to talk with Mr. Obama. It's in today's International Forecaster. I picked it up out of Europe early this morning around.
Particularly since he said it's the way to hell.
Well, it was around. I picked it up around 11 o'clock Paris time in the morning this morning, which is around 3 o'clock our time here.
Well, get cracking, Ivan. You're slipping. According to the latest news, Europe is not bailing out the automakers, Sweden is not bailing out Saab, and Germany is not helping Opel. What are we gaining by bailing everyone out?
Well, we're gaining very little. When these American automobile makers have been, what is the phrase I use for this, have been designed to fail. They're going to fail anyway. I mean, we knew this in 1980, and nobody would listen. How do we know? I just read Foreign Affairs. That's the way it's going to be. 1990, 91, somewhere in that time zone, 89, Lee Iacocca come up with a book, and forget the name of it. And he said, everything's going to be made outside the United States unless we go and put our factories outside the United States to get slave labor. Nobody was listening. He let the cat out of the bag. So they're not savable as long as you don't have tariffs. What is the answer? We'll have a booming automobile industry. All you have to do is put up tariffs. So Germany and France is saving their business. But Sweden and Germany, they can put up tariffs. If they don't want to do that, well, they'll lose their industries. America doesn't want to do that, they'll lose their industries. And they'll be third world nations. And everybody will be speaking Mandarin. The whole thing is insane. I mean, how can any sane person in Washington or Paris or Frankfurt or wherever, Berlin, and even contemplate having such an economic arrangement? It's crazy. I mean, does Europe and Canada and America want to live in poverty? I mean, that's what they're talking about. That's where we're headed. I mean, it's dumber than dumb. But it's not dumber than dumb. It's by design. Because all that money is going to be made, or all these things are going to be made in the third world. It's going to go in the pockets of the internationalists. And you're going to live under a one-world government and enslavement. there won't be any jobs for you. Anybody over 60, they'll be exterminated. You all make good Soylent Green. And that's what they want to do with you.
Yep.
They want to get rid of between 50 and 80% of the people on the face of the earth. And they've come right out and said so. These people are insane.